Hello, today I'm reading The Princess and the Swordsman Travelers, and this is the second part, so it's called A New Dawn, and this would take place 2 years after the first part, when you saved Aerie and all that stuff. And you will also have a younger cousin. His name is Sora. And I think that's all I have to say for this. There will be one more chapter after this as requested. So I hope you enjoy. Time had flown by since you, Aerie, and your friends had found refuge in a hidden village. The days had been filled with laughter and training and the forgetting of unbreakable bonds. Aerie had blossomed into a strong, resilient young princess, her laughter echoing through the village as she played with your younger cousin, Sora, who had grown remarkably close to her. Their friendship had begun to bloom into something more, the innocence of childhood blossoming into the first whispers of young love. You had dedicated yourself to honing your skills with your magical sword, teleporting faster and more efficiently with each passing day. Under the watchful eyes of Captain Valor and the guidance of Maya and Vector, you had become a formidable fighter, preparing for any potential threat. But in the back of your mind, the shadow of Azula looming in the spectacle, a reminder of the chaos she had once caused. One crisp morning, as the sun bathed the village in golden light, you received a letter which would change everything. It was a note from your late mentor, a wise old man who had fallen under Azula's wrath 2 years prior. You tore open the envelope, your heart racing as you read his familiar handwriting. Dear Yasmin, if you are reading this, it means that the time has come for you to seek out Gran Torino. He is the key to unlocking your true potential and will prepare you for the battles that lie ahead. Do not hesitate, as darkness steers once more. Protect Aerie and those you love. A chill ran down your spine as you read the last line. You knew you had to take action. Gran Torino was a legendary hero, and if there was any chance he could help you prepare for the inevitable confrontation with Azula, you had to find him. You quickly gathered your friends. Guys, I need to leave the village for a bit. I have to find Gran Torino. He can help us prepare for whatever Azula might throw at us. Maya nodded, her expression serious. We'll hold down the fort for a while you're gone. Just promise you'll come back quickly. You smile, grateful for their unwavering support. I promise. I just need you to keep an eye on Aerie and Sora while I'm away. As you set off towards the distant mountains, you felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. Little did you know, trouble was brewing back at the village. Meanwhile, back at the village, Aerie, Sora, Maya, and Vector were enjoying a peaceful afternoon. They had set up a small picnic, laughter and chatter brightening the day. But as the sun reached its zenith, the atmosphere shifted. Suddenly, a dark shadow descended upon them. Azula, clad in her black suit and mask, appeared before them with an entourage of henchmen. Well, if it isn't the little princess and her friends, she taunted, her voice dripping with malice. It's time to come home, Aerie. You've been a naughty girl, hiding away like this. Aerie gasped, her eyes wide with fear. No! I won't go with you. Sora stepped in front of her protectively, his young heart racing. You can't take her. I won't let you. Azula chuckled, a sinister sound that sent chills down their backs. Oh, but you don't have a choice. With a swift motion, she unleashed a wave of fire, quickly encapsulating Maya and Vector as they tried to intervene. Eri looked in horror as Azula captured them, binding their wrists with energy chains. "You're all coming with me," Azula said, her eyes gleaming with triumph. "And I have a surprise for you, Eri. You see, I'm not just your captor. I'm your sister." With that revelation, Azula disappeared into the shadows, dragging Eri, Maya, and Vector with her. The village, once filled with laughter and light, was now surrounded with despair. You had reached the entrance of Gran Torino's training grounds when you felt a sudden, gut-wrenching sensation in your chest. Something was wrong. You quickly pulled out your sword, feeling the energy pulsing in response to your urgency. Without hesitation, you teleported back to the village, your heart pounding in your ears. When you arrived, you found an area in chaos. Villagers were panicked, and the air was thick with fear. You rushed to find Maya and Vector, but they were nowhere to be seen. You finally spotted Sora, who was trembling and standing alone, his eyes filled with fear. "Sora!" you called, rushing to his side. "What happened? Where's Eri?" He looked up at you, his expression a mix of anguish and anger. "Azula, she took them. She took Eri and said that she was her sister. They're gone." Your heart sank at his words. "No, not again," you whispered, clenching your fist. "Where did they go?" "I don't know," Sora cried, tears brimming his eyes. "She just disappeared with them. I tried to fight, but she was too strong." The realization hit you like a bolt of lightning. Azula was back, and this time, her intentions were more sinister than ever. Determined to not let her succeed, you took a deep breath, grounding yourself in the moment. "We have to find them, Sora. Can you help me track her?" He nodded, wiping his tears away. "I'll do my best." You focused your energy and closed your eyes, trying to sense Eri's presence. After a moment, you felt a faint thread of consciousness. Her essence was still strong despite the fear surrounding her. "This way!" you shouted, leading Sora as you teleported towards the last place you could sense her. Azula had taken Eri, Maya, and Vector to a dark, hidden lair deep within the mountains. The air was heavy with tension as they were bound and held captive. Eri looked around frantically, her heart racing. "What do you want with me?" she demanded, her voice brave despite her fear. Azula turned to her, her mask reflecting the dim light. "It's simple, little sister. You have power that I need to control. Together we can rule this world, but you have to stop resisting. You belong with me." "Stop calling me that!" Eri shouted, her voice shaking. "I don't want anything to do with you." Azula's expression darkened beneath her mask. "You think you can resist me? I've waited too long for this moment. You'll come to understand your place." Maya and Vector, still bound, exchanged worried glances, feeling helpless, but determined to not let the fear take over. Together, they began to formulate a plan, whispering quietly amongst themselves. You and Sora finally reached the entrance of Azula's lair, a dark cave surrounded in ominous shadows. The air was thick with tension, and you could sense danger that lied inside. You turned to Sora, who was trembling slightly. "Stay close to me. We'll find them." As you stealthily made your way inside, you could hear muffled voices. Your heart raced as you recognized Eri's voice among them. "We're almost there," you whispered to Sora, your determination hardening. You crept forward, finding a vantage point to observe the scene unfolding in the chamber. Azula stood tall, her aura radiating power and confidence as she taunted your friends. Aerie was trembling, but held her head high, refusing to show fear. Suddenly, Azula's eyes flitted towards the entrance. "I sense someone," she said, her voice cold and calculating. "Come out and play." You exchanged a quick look with Sora, and before you could reply, Azula launched a furious attack towards the entrance, forcing you to react. You teleported behind her, sword raised, determined to rescue your friends. "Azula!" you shouted, drawing her attention. "Let them go." She turned, surprise flickering across her features before it was replaced with a wicked grin. "Ah, the brave hero returns. How quaint. But you're too late." With a burst of speed, you lunged at her, your sword clashing against hers as she banished her weapon, a weapon of her own. The fire danced at the tip. The battle began, the air cracking with tension as the two of you exchanged blows. You fought with everything you had, teleporting around her, trying to gain the upper hand. But Azula was relentless, her movements precise and powerful. With each clash, you felt the weight of your previous losses fueling your determination. "I won't let you hurt them," you shouted, pushing yourself to fight harder. "Foolish sentiment," Azula taunted, her voice laced with triumph. "You think you can save them? You'll only get yourself hurt." As the fight raged on, you finally found an opening. With a swift maneuver, you managed to strike Azula's mask, breaking it in half. It fell to the ground, revealing a glimpse of her face, one filled with anger and surprise. But your victory was short-lived. Azula, now enraged, redirected her energy and unleashed a powerful wave of flames that engulfed the space between you, pushing you back with a force that knocked the breath out of you. You stumbled, your vision momentarily blurring from the heat and shock from her attack. "Do you really think you can defeat me?" Azula sneered, her eyes blazing with fury. "You're nothing without your precious friends, and now they'll witness your failure." In a moment, you saw Aerie struggling against her bounds, panic in her eyes as she cried out, "No, don't hurt them!" "Aerie!" you shouted, forcing yourself to stand tall despite the pain coursing through your body. "I'm coming for you." Azula laughed, a chilling sound that echoed through the chamber. "You're outnumbered and outmatched. You should have stayed away, little hero." With a flick of her wrist, she sent another wave of fire towards you, and you managed to teleport just in time, reappearing behind her. You swung your sword again, but she anticipated your moves and countered with a kick that sent you sprawling to the ground. You gasped for air. You could feel the weight of despair creeping in. "I can't let her win," you thought, focusing on your bond that you shared with Aerie and your friends that fueled your resolve. Your determination surged as you pushed yourself back to your feet. "I won't let you take Aerie away from us," you declared, your voice steady and strong. With a renewed strength, you charged at Azula again, teleporting rapidly to confuse her. Each strike felt heavier, each movement fueled by memories of your mentor, your friends, and the promise that you made to protect Aerie. But Azula was relentless. She parried your attacks and countered with blasts of fire that singed the edge of your clothing. You could feel your energy waning, and yet you pushed on, determined not to let fear win. In a desperate move, you leaped into the air, aiming for a final strike. But Azula wasn't caught off guard this time. She sidestepped and sent a powerful blast towards you, knocking you off course into the ground. Dazed, you looked up at her, heart pounding. "No, I can't lose," you whispered. The words felt hollow. Azula smirked, stepping closer to you. "You fought valiantly, but it's time to end this. You'll watch as I take what's mine." Just then, Ares' voice broke through the haze of despair. "No! You can't hurt them! I won't let you!" She struggled against her bonds, her determination shining brightly. Azula paused, her expression flickering with annoyance. "You think your defiance will change anything? You're just a child." But Ares' spirit shone through, and something within her began to stir. You could see it in her eyes, a small spark of hope and strength that had inspired you to fight. "You're wrong. I'm not afraid of you. I have friends who care about me." At that moment, a surge of energy radiated from Aerie, and you felt it wash over you like a wave. It ignited a fire deep within your heart. You pushed yourself back to your feet, feeling the bounds of your friendship and love surrounding you. "Aerie!" you shouted, determination rekindling. "I'm coming for you." In a moment of clarity, you focused your energy on your sword, channeling the bond you shared with Aerie and your friends. You unleashed a powerful wave of light, sending it straight towards Azula. She wasn't prepared for the forced attack, and it hit her squarely, knocking her back, momentarily stunned. The chamber filled with light, and for a brief, shining instant, you felt a surge of hope renew. "Now, Aerie, use your power!" you urged, your voice reigning above the chaos. Aerie, feeling a surge of energy flowing through her, she closed her eyes and concentrated. The bounds that held her began to weaken, and with one final push, she broke free. "I won't let you control me," she shouted, her voice strong and defiant. As Azula regained her composure, she turned to face the two of you, her mask shattered as her anger palpable. "You think you can defeat me together? This isn't over." With your sword glowing brightly and Aerie standing beside you, you felt a wave of determination wash over you. You were ready for your fight for your friends. You were ready to fight for your friends, for Aerie, for the future you all deserved. But the battle wasn't over. You knew that the final confrontation with Azula would still come. You shared a determined glance with Aerie, and the unspoken bond between you solidifying your resolution. Together, you could face whatever came next. "Stay close to me, Aerie," you said, poising yourself between her and Azula. "We'll fight together." Azula's eyes narrowed as she regained her composure. The remnants of her mask still clinging to her face like a shattered reflection of her former self. "You think you can win this? You're just a child playing hero," she demanded, her glare holding a chilling intensity as she ignited her fire, swirling it around her like a temptress, the heat radiating from her, causing the air to shimmer. You could feel the pressure of her power pushing against you, but there was no turning back now. "Aerie, focus!" you shouted, trying to keep her grounded. "Together!" With that, you charged at Azula again, your sword glowing brightly as you sloshed through the air. Aerie joined you, her small but formidable presence amplifying the energy around you. The two of you formed a brilliant duo, attacking with speed and precision. But Azula was a mastermind of combat, and she swiftly countered your moves with her agile and devastating firebending. She danced around the battlefield, her flames striking out like serpents, forcing you to dodge and weave. You could feel the strain on your muscles as you fought. Your earlier energy began to wane. Azula laughed, the sound that echoed in the chamber. Is that really all you have? How disappointing. She unleashed a flurry of flames, and you barely managed to teleport out of the way just in time. But the heat singed your clothes and skin once again. Stay back, Aerie, you shouted, trying to shield her from the onslang. You struck back, but Azula's fire was relentless. She pushed you further and further back, her confidence growing with each passing moment. Aerie's eyes widened in fear as she watched you struggle against her sister. I won't let you hurt her, she screamed, her voice raising in anguish. No, Aerie, you warned, but it was too late. The moment of desperation, Aerie surged forward, channeling her own power in an attempt to protect you. Stop! She cried, reaching out to Azula. But Azula was quicker. With a flick of her wrist, she unleashed a massive wave of fire, and Aerie's energy collided with it in a dazzling explosion, the force knocking you back. You both back, and you landed hard on the ground, gasping for air. Aerie! You shouted, scrambling to your feet, your heart racing as you rushed to her side, but Azula had already turned her attention back to you, her eyes alight with fury. Look at you both, she sneered, her voice dripping with disdain. You think your friendship can save you? Pathetic! You felt a surge of anger and determination rise within you. We'll never give up, you declared, raising your sword once more. But as you charged at her, Azula unleashed a torrent of flames that engulfed the space, and you felt the heat sear your skin. You tried to teleport, but the intensity of her attack knocking you off balance, you stumbled, and before you could react, Azula lunged forward, striking you with a powerful blow that sent you crashing into the wall. Pain exploded through your body as you struggled to rise. Aerie! You gasped, your vision blurring. You could see her struggling to break free from her bounds, her eyes filled with tears and concern for you. But Azula wasn't finished. She approached you, her expression a mixture of triumph and malice. You're strong for a child, but ultimately, you're just a distraction. Your little princess will never be free from me. With that, she unleashed one final, devastating attack, and you felt the world around you fade to black as the flames consumed your senses. When you regained consciousness, the world around you was hazy. You blinked against the brightness, disoriented and aching all over. As your vision cleared, you realized you were back in the village, lying on the makeshift bed. Sora knelt beside you, his eyes wide with worry. You're awake! We thought you were... He paused, his voice trembling. You lost, didn't you? You nodded slowly, the weight of defeat settling heavily on your chest. Aerie, Azula took her again, you said, your heart sinking. I couldn't protect her. Sora's expression darkened, and he clenched his fist in frustration. We have to get her back. We can't let Azula win. I know, you reply, your voice barely above a whisper. But I can't do this alone. I need to train more. I need to get stronger. I should have gone to Gran Torino when I had the chance. With a sigh of determination, you pushed yourself up, ignoring the pain. I'll go find him. I'll train harder than ever, and I'll come back and save Eri and everyone else. This isn't over. As you prepare to leave, Captain Valor entered the room, his expression serious but understanding. I heard you were awake, he said, his voice steady. I'm glad you're okay, but we need to talk about what happened. You sat up, grimacing at the pain that shot through your muscles. I can't just sit here, Valor. I need to go train with Gran Torino. I need to become stronger. Strong enough to defeat Azula and rescue Eri. Valor nodded, his expression softening. I understand your urgency, but you must also understand that rushing in without proper training will only put you at a greater danger. Azula is more powerful than you realize, and she knows your weaknesses. I know, you reply, determination burning in your eyes, but I can't just wait here while she keeps Eri. I have to do something. Then let's make sure you're prepared, Valor said, crossing his arms. Gran Torino is a great mentor, but he can be tough. Are you ready for that? You nodded firmly. I am. I'll do whatever it takes to be stronger. Good, he said, giving you an encouraging smile. But you won't be going alone. Sora, Maya, and Vector will be accompanying you. They can help you prepare and keep you grounded. Sora perked up at the mention of his name. I want to help. I want to do whatever it takes to save Eri. Valor nodded at Sora's enthusiasm. Very well. Gather your things and leave at the first light. Gran Torino is known to be a strict trainer, but if anyone can prepare you for the battle ahead, it's him. That night, you barely slept. You spent the hours mentally preparing yourself for the challenges that laid ahead. You thought about Eri and the bond you shared, the way she looked at you with trust and hope. You wouldn't let her down. Not again. You couldn't. The next morning, you gathered with Sora, Maya, and Vector at the edge of the village. The sun was rising, casting a golden glow over the landscape. You felt a mixture of excitement and anxiety churning in your stomach. Are you ready? Maya asked, her voice filled with encouragement. We'll face whatever comes together. Yeah, Vector chimed in. We're with you all the way. You took a deep breath, looking at each of your friends. Thank you. I can't do this without you guys. With that, you set off to the mountains where Gran Torino was said to reside. The journey was filled with laughter, lighthearted banter, and moments of reflection. The weight of your mission loomed above you. As you approached Gran Torino's training ground once more, the atmosphere shifted. The air felt charged with energy, and you could sense that you were about to embark on a journey unlike any you had ever experienced before. You finally reached the entrance. You were greeted by the sight of a small, unassuming house surrounded by a training ground filled with obstacles, dummies, and various training equipment. A figure in a blue jumpsuit stood in the center. His hair wild and unkempt, but his eyes sharp and focused. Gran Torino, you called, stepping forward. We need your help. The old hero turned to you, a glimmer of recognition in his eyes. Ah, young hero returns. I've heard you've been busy. His gaze turned serious. I also heard your little run-in with Azula. You nodded, swallowing hard. She took Eri again. I need to get stronger so I can save her. Gran Torino crossed his arms, studying you intensely. Strength isn't just about power. It's about strategy, control, and knowing your limits. Are you prepared to learn? I am, you replied, determination surging within you. Good. Then, let's start with the basics. You'll need to learn to harness your abilities more effectively. Follow my lead. The training began immediately, and it was grueling. Gran Torino pushed you beyond your limits, forcing you to teleport with precision, honing your sword skills, and understanding the nuisances of combat. There were days where you felt like giving up, where the exhaustion threatened to overwhelm you, but you never did. You thought of Aerie, and that thought alone kept you going. Sora, Maya, and Vector trained alongside you, each focusing on their own strengths. Sora worked on his agility, while Maya perfected her own interventions and gadgets. Vector practiced his hand-to-hand combat, and together you formed an unbreakable team. Weeks turned into months, and you felt yourself growing stronger and more confident. Gran Torino's teachings transformed you, instilling a sense of discipline and force that you had never possessed before. With each passing day, you could feel the bond between you and your friends deepen, and you could tell that soon enough, you were going to be strong enough to finally get Aerie back. Okay, that was the part 2 of the Princess and the Swordsman Travelers. I hope you enjoyed. I can't tell if this is good or not. I feel like I made the fight scene like really long and kind of repetitive, but other than that, I think it was pretty good. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope the person who requested this enjoyed most of all, because it's their request. Anyways, have a good day, night, evening, whatever. I love you guys so much. Goodbye.